Hello, my name is Chandra, and we've just had Thanksgiving. And if you host like we do, then you probably have a lot of food laying around. Here's what I'm doing with mine. So I had leftover squash puree from dinner that only I will eat, and I made a pumpkin pie out of it, but it's not a pumpkin pie, it's a squash pie. I used a pumpkin pie recipe. I used one that called for a can of pumpkin. I did make a small adjustment to the amount of liquid because my puree was a little bit more watery than a can would be. But here is my gluten-free crust, and I'm going to freeze that for 10 minutes before I bake it at 375 for about 15 minutes, just until it's starting to turn golden brown. I really wish I could share this recipe with you because it is such a good pumpkin pie recipe. I can share the cookbook down below and give you the gist. There is maple syrup and sugar in it. I'm using coconut sugar. It calls for, this is a dairy-free recipe, so it calls for coconut milk, and I used 2/3 of the amount of coconut milk to kind of compensate for the fact that my puree has more water in it than a canned pumpkin would. I also, whenever a recipe calls for things like cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, any of those type of spices, I just use my pumpkin pie spice. So I did use that in place of what the recipe called for in amounts of cinnamon and nutmeg. Here's my coconut milk going in, and I'm just going to get all of this mixed together and into my par-baked pie shell, and it was so good. You might have noticed I had my can of coconut milk in a bowl of water, and that was hot water, and that just gets that fat that solidifies at the top to melt, and then I can shake it up and get the full fat coconut milk, which is what I wanted for this pie. Here's my crust coming out. It's getting a little crowded on top of the stove. It was breakfast time, and now this is ready to pour in. This recipe calls for the pie to bake at 350 for 45 minutes, but I've made this 2 times, and both times I've baked it for an hour before the center is just a little bit jiggly. Here's my next project, some thumbprint cookies. I had fig jam left from our appetizer tray, and I thought that would be really good in some thumbprint cookies. I did not have enough fig jam to do a whole double batch, which is what I was doing, so I made some chocolate ganache for the rest of them, and that was delicious. I've never made chocolate thumbprint cookies before, but they were a big hit. These are an almond flour based cookie, which makes for such a tender crumb. And this one I found online, and I can link it below. It's from a website that I really enjoy. I've found a lot of her recipes to be really good, so I'll put that down below. These are sweetened just with maple syrup. They are rolled in some cane sugar, which does make for a nice kind of crispy outside to the cookie. And I ended up adding almond extract to mine as well, which was a suggestion I saw down at the bottom of the recipe after I had gotten everything mixed together. And I love almond extract, and with an almond flour, it seemed like it made sense, and it was definitely worth it. If you like almond, absolutely add the almond extract. These was a very loose dough, so I did refrigerate it at different points. Sometimes because I needed to do something else for a little while, and sometimes because it just seemed like it'd be hard to work with unless it was refrigerated. And because there's butter in there, it does firm up very easily. So if it seems too soft, it's not. Carry on. I knew I wanted to make cookies on this day. It is the Saturday after Thanksgiving, and on the day before, the Friday, I ended up buying a bunch of stuff online that was on sale that I knew I was going to buy for Christmas gifts, and I thought I might as well go ahead and do that while everything was on its Black Friday sale day. And then once you order stuff, the delivery drivers start coming, and sometimes I feel like I haven't gotten the cookies made that we like to give to our delivery drivers who we know and like very well. So I was quickly getting these done before any of that stuff starts coming. And we'll keep going on making cookies and things to give out. And of course, we will eat them and enjoy this whole lead up to the Christmas season. I'm just using a teaspoon here to make the little divots for my jam. And then I'll fill all these. I get a tray and then just a few of the fig jam, and the fig jam ones were really delicious. I've made raspberry ones before, which is pretty classic, but this fig I would do again. Now I'm making the ganache, and I made, not even close to enough of ganache. I had to remake it. I did not show you every time I remade this because it was excessive. I think I had to remake it 4 times. I kept thinking, I don't want any extra, so I made just a little bit. But I'll try to put down below how much I actually made. I'll have to think about it to do the amount of cookies that I did, which was probably about 20 chocolate cookies. But here I'm melting some chocolate chips with some heavy cream, it's 2 parts chocolate chips to 1 part cream, and that makes a ganache. So it's that nice like chocolate that doesn't become totally hard, but it does hold its shape, and it was very yummy. Here I am filling these before I bake them with chocolate, which you should not do. And here I am taking it all back out again at very fast speed. You have to fill these after you bake them with the chocolate or it'll dry out. Well, here's the second time I made more. And there's no reason to I have a double boiler going here. That white bowl on the inside is unnecessary. I was trying to just melt the chocolate with the hot heavy cream the first time in that white bowl, but I don't think it was enough volume to really make it happen. So then I stuck it in this bowl over some water to make a double boiler, and it did slow it down for sure, the melting process, but it worked fine. You can see that these are the ones that got chocolate put in them and then taken back out again. It seems to be totally fine. They're definitely not as pretty as the ones that I was just able to pour chocolate into, and it kind of sets up nicely. Here I was trying to like spread it out to cover the chocolate that had gotten baked in the oven. Well, I hope you got some ideas for your Thanksgiving leftovers. We're going to make soup too and all that regular kind of leftover stuff, but this was a little bit more different and fun, and I can't wait to see you next time.